Okay, in this tutorial we are going to look at parent-child relationships and between layers. And what that means is that one layer can be used to set the position, rotation, and scale of another layer or a child layer, right? And so if, say, you're trying to animate just an arm out of three pieces, three separate images, right? Like one image of a hand, an image of a forearm, and an image of an upper arm, then you can adjust those and make it so that when you rotate the upper arm, the forearm and hand rotate with that, right? So you can get this relationship where you don't have to manually control the position, rotation, of every single layer for each movement that you make. So to start, we're going to go ahead and double click to import this pirate.psd file. And we created this, or I created this file. I found it online and I cut out all the body parts, right? It's basically this paper doll of a pirate. And so you'll see that there's all these places where you would put pins through so that you could like manipulate the motion of the pirate's body. And so we're going to actually use those as guides for where we place our anchor points in order to animate this ridiculously smirky pirate. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and import that, but what I want to do is I want to make sure I say composition, retain layer sizes. I hit open and I hit OK. And now I should have all of these layers, and it's best to just check to see if our layers are the way we want them to be. So I'm going to double click on this pirate composition up here, which is our Photoshop file, and I can already tell by hovering over these and seeing these little boundaries around the outside of each of these body parts that indeed these are correct. You'll notice one of my layers is a little messed up, but you know, we'll figure that out later. Okay, so first, when we have this pirate composition, we need to start like assembling his body in here. And what we're going to do is we're going to have this, we're going to use this composition to put all the body parts together. And then we can either copy all those layers out to another composition, or we can bring this composition in and do our animation in this composition, but then have it in a different composition for the final thing. So let's go ahead and get started. So first, there's these two layers that are not visible here. These are just like the base layers that had all of the information in them before it got split up into individual layers. And so all I want to do with layer 1 and layer 2 down here is delete them. Now once I've done that, I've got all of these other body parts. And so we have to think about parent-child relationships and how this functions. So first, we want to think, how do we do this? So our torso should be the parent of all of these objects. But what it is the torso is the parent, and then we just have to think about like what's connected next. If I zoom in a little bit, this is just so we can see, right? So the four things that are next connected that need to be the next children in the chain are the thighs and the upper arms, right? Because they're going to be connected here, here, somewhere in there, and somewhere in there. And so we want to make sure that those four objects are the next in the hierarchy. And then, right, if we go down the arm, right, the next things in the hierarchy are the lower arms, and then the hands, and then obviously the lower legs are attached to the legs. So let's start reorganizing at least the position of these objects in our composition. Right, so I'm going to go ahead and move a couple of these arm pieces a little bit out of the way. So I can just click and drag and bring the pirate over here. And then I can start to kind of align, and I assume this is this hand, these things. Now you'll notice, right, in this case, before I have them overlap, what I want to do is I want to be able to see those little black dots, right? Because if I go under here, I can't see the one that's on the hand, right? So I just want to get these roughly in place, right? But I should still be able to see all the parts individually. And you'll see these, you know, these thigh layers, there's a little bit extra space around here, and you know, there's not much that I can do about that, except if I was to have been smarter when I went and made this, I could have cleaned it up a little bit. But we're all going to have to suffer through my lack of forethought. Okay, so oops, and so this thigh, I'll just pull it over here. Okay, So we've got all our parts arranged the way that we're more or less going to want them to be connected. And what we need to do now is we need to adjust our our anchor points, our centers of rotation. And in this case, for the torso, we're going to leave that right in the center of his chest for now. But for all of these other parts, we need to make those adjustments. And so, right, if I zoom back out, if you remember, the anchor point tool or the pan behind tool is this little dashed box up here. It's also the letter Y on the keyboard. And I'm going to zoom in on the screen again just so it makes it easier for you to see what I'm doing. But I've got my pan behind tool, right? I've hit the letter Y to select it. And I'm just going to take my anchor points, and I want them to be centered on these centers of rotation, right, where the pin would go through if this was actually made out of paper. All right, so I've done those two, so I'm going to go to the forearms. I'm going to move these up to the elbow. And if they're not perfect, it's, it's not the end of the world. This is right, just an exercise. And so then for the hand, right, it's up to the wrist. And it's up to the wrist with this one. And then I'm going to come down here. I'm going to pull this up to the top of the thigh, pull this up to the top of the thigh, and then go down to his lower legs and do the exact same thing. Okay, so now that I've moved all of those points, the next step, the next step is going to be to then move all of these so they're arranged the way I want them to be arranged. And so I'm going to go ahead and use my selection tool, letter V on the keyboard. I'm just going to drag these down until these points overlap with about where they should on the next layer, right? And so you'll notice the hand is totally behind the torso right now. That's fine. I'm going to go ahead and, plop this arm in, this one in, and move the hand as well. And then I'll do the thighs. And the thighs, right, I don't really know where his hips connect. There isn't really a good clean spot where those are. I just want to make sure they're more or less even with each other. And then I'll bring his lower legs up so that they match his knees. Okay, so we've got this pirate all laid out, and now what we need to do is we need to come down to the order of our layers, and we need to start figuring out, do we want his hands and arms behind his body, in front of his body? And then we can start connecting things. So I'm going to go down to the hierarchy, and the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure that, right, I do have these in order, right? So right thigh, right foot, left thigh, left foot, right hand, lower right arm, upper right arm, and so these are all organized in a decent way. But the question is, what should be on top? In this case, I'm going to, just for simplicity and organization, and I don't want to confuse everyone in this tutorial, because the order is going to be crazy. But for right now, I'm going to leave it so his hands end up behind his torso, right? Because the trick becomes that his hands, if I move his hands in front of his torso, then his forearms are going to need to be in front of his torso, then his arms are going to be in front of his torso, and then we have a problem with how this is connected. And we could do more complex things. We could have a couple different layers. So we could have a torso layer, right, this half. We could mask off, say, the bottom of it, and we could just create an additional layer that sits on top so his shoulders are still right, even though his arms are in front of his torso. But to start with, we're just going to keep it as simple as possible. And so we need to start making parent-child relationships. And to do that, there's this parent and link option over here. And if I click on where it says none in these fields, also, if you don't have this view, what you need to do is you need to toggle switches and modes, right? Which even if you should always have this. If for some reason it's hidden, if for some reason I'm trying to select the edge between these two things and not the actual window, and it's just not working. There might be a chance that this gets covered up, but hopefully not. Even in either mode, the parenting options are available. And so let's start from the youngest children, right? So we'll go child, parent, grandparent, great-grandparent. And so let's start with the arms, and we'll start with the left hand. And so if I select the left hand and I go where it says parent and link and it says none, what I want to do is I want to make that the parent the lower left arm, right? And then what I want to do is I want to go to my lower left arm and I want to say, okay, I want to make the upper left arm my parent. And then I want to go to the upper left arm and I want to make the torso my parent, right? And the torso currently has absolutely no parent. Right, so I've got these set. So what that means is if I select my upper left arm now, and I go to rotate, use my rotate tool, right, which is the letter W or that circle there, and I hover over this and click and rotate, then what that means is that the entire arm is going to rotate as one unit. Right, if I go down and I select the lower arm and I rotate it, now the hand and the arm rotate. And if I go down to my hand, then just the hand rotates, right? And if I go back up to my upper arm, now the whole upper arm can rotate, right? And it rotates that whole arm in the new position that I had. So this is, and if I was to move the torso, which I'm not going to do right now because I haven't parented anything else, then the entire arm would move with the torso. So let's go ahead and hopefully that makes some sense. Let's go ahead and do the rest of these options. Okay, so I'm going to go to my right hand. I'm going to say I want that to be my lower right arm is the parent. And then the lower right arm, I want to go up. I want to say I want that to be the upper right arm. And then the upper right arm, I want to connect to the torso. And I'm going to do the same thing starting from the feet and going up. So I'm going to go with the right foot to the right thigh to the torso. I feel like there's a children's song in here, right? So I'm going to take my left foot to the left thigh, and then my left thigh to my torso. All right, so now if I click on the torso and I use the move tool or the selection tool, the letter V, right now when I move the torso around, the whole pirate moves with it, right? And again, if I'm using my rotation tool, and you can, with the rotation tool, you can use that to select a particular layer that you want to work on as well, right? And so now I can, have his leg kick out. I can have his foot drop in, right? Same with this other leg, right? There's lots of options. Now, something to note when you're animating something in a composition, and we're actually going to make this composition, look at that. He's now he's sitting and very calmly reflecting on his life as a pirate. But one of the things you can do, oh, that's the wrong leg. Here we go. Let's rotate this one up a little bit. It just seems like he'd be more comfortable if he had this. There we go. Okay, so one of the things you can do, and maybe this is up a little bit high. It's kind of funny looking, but this whole thing is comical. So one of the things we can do is we can make compositions, layers in other compositions. And so we can do all of our pirate animation in this composition, and then we can bring it into a bigger composition where maybe we have like a background, and or maybe we make multiple pirates. But we're going to go ahead and make a big pirate party. And so this is a good point to stop and save. And then we'll go ahead and set to keyframing some of these parts of this pirate so that he can do a little dance or do some other posture when we come back in just, a couple minutes for me. Who knows when you come back.